Oh my goodness, this is so surreal that I am sitting here with this Valley icon. I've known her for 25 years. I was a little kid that came into morning television, and she was the go-to person for politics, for everything happening around Arizona and everything. Jana Bommersbach's here with us. But a lot of people didn't realize, like, on the side, you were writing books. You were, I mean, pretty much writing stories that you love, especially about our West out here. Now, are you from here? Where are you originally from?
I'm from North Dakota, but I'm a transplant to the West in the United States. And after, in fact, they fired me at Channel 3, that's when I really got into the West, because Bob Bosbell at True West Magazine hired me and said, hey, come out. I said, you know, I don't know anything about the West. He says, I've got a great library. That's all I had to hear.
Yeah.
So off I go. And so I've been there since 25 years almost. So,
oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so we've been doing all kinds of, working like all kinds of stuff about the wonderful West, which is a phenomenal story.
Yeah, and this is the book right here. It's a very easy and great read. It's the Hellraisers and Trailblazers of the Wild West, which is awesome. I've been looking through it, which is really neat to look through.
I know.
Because I'm going to say it, and you'll probably agree with me, but the West was really built by women, we could say, can't we?
Absolutely. But do you know that from history? No, you don't.
Right.
You don't. What you think is you think that the West was all men, and that the only women out here were either the prostitutes or the bad girls like Calamity Jane, right? You have no idea of the incredible women who came here and then made this into something. You know, this is not a boring history book. This is a book, exciting book about American history and about how the West was developed and the women who made that happen. But, you know, history told us all about all the bad boys, all the goons, all the gunfighters. You know, we've enshrined them in history. But women have been ignored, and this book helps correct that.
Yeah, and the stories are great. I mean, we open up even to the one where I open up this one, which is kind of interesting. But this one is about a lawyer who helped cannibalism get out of jail.
A journalist, a female journalist who helped a cannibal get out of prison in Colorado. You know, the famous Alfred Packer, the guy who supposedly ate these people, right, and then went to prison for 25 years. Well, she comes to town and she goes, wait a minute, is cannibalism really a crime when you are, you know, stranded in the mountains and and so she goes in and gets him out of prison. I mean, she writes stories that make Colorado so incensed that they force the governor to commute a sentence.
Yeah, and we're not just, as you just said, Colorado. We're not just talking about Arizona. We're talking about all the West.
All 17 western states.
That comes about. And so how long did it take you to start writing all this?
Well, this is our COVID book. This is a collaboration with me and the legendary Bob Bosbell, so you can imagine how phenomenal that is.
Yeah.
So he's been wanting to write this book for 30 years. I've been writing about women of the Old West for 20 years. So during COVID, he calls up and he says, hey, let's do a book on women of the Old West. Well, I had nothing to do. I was stuck in my house. I was kind of captured anyway. So it was, well, yeah, why not? So we started research. So 2020, we started this book. It took us 3 years to actually bring it all together. And he, of course, has done some of the writing in here, but also mainly he's done this fabulous artwork, which is just astonishing. You know, I have cousins who have read all 9 of my books, and they think this is the best book I've ever read.
Wow.
But I think it's because of the artwork.
Yeah.
You know, because the artwork so brings to life, you know, all of these things that we're talking about. Yeah. So yeah, it took us 3 years.
Wow, amazing. You mentioned about your other books, and we have to mention those books were about your journalism, and that was about
mainly
where
about
you,
journalism,
where you
right.
were doing the different stories and stuff like that.
Right.
Can I ask you, I mean, between this book and also all your other works, what has been your favorite thing to cover or to discover as a journalist?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, I've done some nonfiction books that have really been, you know, groundbreaking kind of thing. But you know, I got to tell you, finding out about these unknown women and discovering these women has been probably the most joyful part of my life. Yeah. You know, I mean, I loved writing stories that corrected history, that showed that people that you thought were guilty weren't guilty, you know, like Deborah Milkey, who'd been on death row for 25 years. You know, I wrote a whole book about her called A Stolen Life. And Winnie Ruth Judd, my first book, who had, you know, spent 43 years in prison and wasn't guilty. So, I mean, I loved that. But I'll tell you, finding out everyday women who had no sense that they were part of history, but who were just doing what they thought was the right thing to do and doing stuff that they knew needed to be done, who ended up being legendary in American history, that has been has been really joyful.
Amazing, amazing. And what I love is that you have been working continually, and that's what's so great about it with you. It's so amazing.
How do you stop? You know, when people say to me, "When are you going to retire?" And I said, "Retire from what? I stopped writing." Does a writer ever stop writing?
No.
I mean, maybe you're not running around every day, doing the daily story, which I'm thankful not to be doing all the time. But you never stop writing. I mean, you always start. And I still write for True West magazine to this day. I have a column called Old West Saviors, which talks about people who are saving pieces of the Old West. I used to do a column years ago about women of the Old West. I've done feature stories and stuff for them, and I adore that because I get to meet all these interesting people from all over the country and share those ideas, and that we're bringing women to the forefront is really joyful for me.
So, and I have to do this because I got some comments going. You gotta tell us one little story about Jana when you worked at the station. And I have to tell you, my favorite one is that you never took on Jana Bommersbach when it came to politics, journalism, like deep journalism. I don't think even Mike Walkus even would take you on. And that's what I love about you. And she literally, I think she threw a shoe at a producer once because they questioned her about her resources and everything like that, and she had it all laid out, and that person didn't like it. And I think she just picked up her shoe and said, it was just the grace. But that's the
this
part.
This is what I'd like to do with this book: is take a shoe and throw it at you. Hey, by the way, you can get this on Amazon, so you can get this anywhere in the country.
Yes, and that's what's important right there. Also, we want to say that she has a podcast doing a lot of things. She is one of the Valley amazing journalist icons.
So are you. And what a joy to have the band, part of the band back together.
Back together. This is awesome. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brett, so much.
There it is. We're going to have to go. I saw her at the Little Pickle, and I says, I have to have you on. So we'll go back to the Little Pickle and hang out. That's
there you go. Let's go.
All right. Thank you, Jana.
Thanks,
Thank you very much.